All right, it is 7 p.m. We will go ahead and get this meeting started. So welcome everyone to the Wednesday, April 14th, 2021 Albany Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. We will go ahead and call this meeting to order. Planning staff, if we could have roll call.
Yes, Commissioner Donaldson.
Here.
Commissioner McLeod. Commissioner Moman.
Here.
Commissioner Pilch.
Present.
Chair Waddy.
Here. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to item 3 on our agenda this evening, which is ex parte communications. Do any commissioners have any ex parte communications to disclose this evening?
No. Nope.
Okay. Seeing none, we will close that item and move on to item 4, which is the consent calendar. The consent calendar items are considered to be routine and will be enacted on by one motion. By approval of the consent calendar, staff recommendations will be adopted unless otherwise modified by the commission. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the commission or a member of the public wishes to remove an item from the consent calendar. Tonight we have a few items up on the consent calendar. So first up, we have item 4-1, the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes from March 24th. Item 4-2, planning application 21-017, conditional use permit for the law offices at 1365 Solano. Item 4-3, planning application 21-019, design review and parking reduction for a 2-level addition at 508 Masonic. And then we have item 4-4, planning application 21-008, design review for a 2nd-story addition at 1501 Albany Terrace. First up, do any commissioners wish to remove any of these items from the consent calendar? Okay, Commissioner Donaldson?
Yes, I have a minor change to the minutes and probably don't need to remove the item, just one correction to make.
Okay, great. And then Commissioner McLeod, you also raised your hand. Do you have an item you'd like to remove?
Yeah, I'd like to remove item 4-3508 Masonic.
Okay. So with that, why don't we then, Commissioner Pilch?
Yeah, 4-4, please.
All right. So with that, it looks like no objections to 4-2 and a minor edit to 4-1. So why don't, Commissioner Donaldson, why don't you go ahead and share your edit for item 4-1, and then we can open up for public comment on those two. Take those two together.
On page 3, line 35, I think it should say Adams Street. The connection between Clay, it says, I think it should say between Adams and San Pablo at Brighton. I think that one word, Clay, should be changed to Adams in that context. Otherwise, the minutes are fine for me.
Can you repeat the line and the page number, please?
Oh yeah, sure. Line 35, page 3.
Okay, thank you.
Elizabeth, you're muted. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, thank you. With that, then why don't we go ahead and open up public comment then items 4-1 and 4-2, and then we can take those together as a roll call vote and hear the other 2 items separately. So with that, members of the public, this is your opportunity to speak on the meeting minutes from March 24th, as well as the conditional use for 1365 Solano Avenue. Chris, do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on either of those items?
Yes, we have Jeremiah with his hand raised.
Okay.
Jeremiah, we'll go ahead and let you speak. Yeah.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. I was trying to get the unmute button there. So okay, start 3 minutes. I was just wondering, besides this meeting, besides this public comment, besides talking about this on this agenda item, how else is this like notified to the public about what's going on? I mean, how is this transparent? I know people talk about transparency. Sometimes there's issues with government and transparency issues, and I don't know. It's supposed to be fun for people, and it's supposed to be easy, it's supposed to be transparent, so everybody knows what's going on. And I just attend a lot of these meetings, and there's always the same public outreach and all sorts of things. I mean, surveys and I don't know, posted on the kiosk by Safeway. On the front door of public buildings. I don't know. I know Solano Avenue has the big bellies, and there's a lot of empty space on those, a lot of places to where people could see, like right at the post office, there's trash cans with blank posters on them, blank. So maybe you could post something there, just let the public know about these specific things.
So Jeremiah, not to totally cut you off here, but right now we're taking public comments specifically on the meeting minutes and the project at 1365 Solano, which is a conditional use. If you want to provide general public comment about the general. Okay.
It's the minutes. How are the minutes posted publicly? Like, where are those? And this project, like this project. Thank you, Ann. This project that's so important. This project thing that's up for an agenda item. You know, how many people really know what's going on about that? I mean, just where is it? Just posted on the website somewhere, and how many people are going on Albany City's website, you know, every day? Or is it advertised on Facebook? These projects are advertised, you know, at the kiosk or the minutes. I mean, where are the minutes posted? Because if anybody has something to change on the minutes, you know, from last time, you got to see the minutes first. And what if people don't have access to a computer to access the website? But it's COVID, so it's hard to have paper copies available to the public. Maybe since the library is open, maybe there. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Chris. Are there any other members of the public that wish to speak on item 4-1 and 4-2?
There are no other hands raised at the moment.
Okay, with that, Commissioner Donaldson.
Certainly. Then I will move approval of the items that can be moved here, which include item 4-1, the minutes from March 24th with the one change I recommended, and item 4-2, planning application 21017, a conditional use permit for law offices at 1365 Solano.
Okay, great. And on that, do we have a second on those two items?
I'll second.
Commissioner Pilch on the second. Thank you. On that motion then, Commissioner McLeod.
Yes.
Commissioner Moman.
Yes.
Commissioner Pilch.
Yes.
Commissioner Donaldson.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So those two items pass unanimously. With that, why don't we go ahead and item 4-3 and 4-4 on the consent calendar were pulled off by commissioners. So why don't we go ahead and hear those two items individually. So with that, we'll turn to item 4-3. This is planning application 21-019, design review and parking reduction for a 2-level addition at 508 Masonic. I believe Commissioner McLeod, you requested to have this one pulled off. Would you like to have a full presentation, or is there a specific question that you had on this item?
It's mostly about design of the rear facade and the side facade and kind of the layout of the upper floor. So I think it'd be helpful to look at the drawings.
Okay.
So
planning staff, do you guys have a presentation prepared, or would you like to just open it up to the project applicant?
We don't have a formal presentation prepared. We could open out to the applicant. We could also pull up the plans if needed as well.
Okay. Why don't we plan on having you guys work on pulling up the plans, but first we'll maybe see if the project applicant is on the line and is prepared to give a brief presentation on this item.
And just so the commission is aware, the applicant had also prepared their own presentation in case this would be pulled for discussion.
Okay.
Okay, I have the plans up. Hector, the project applicant, you are now able to speak, I think.
Hey, Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Actually, Jason and Jane are the ones that want to speak, the homeowners, not me.
Oh, okay.
They put together a presentation and they want to present their own case. So it's them, not me. When they're online, of course, they're here.
Okay. One moment then. Jason, you can now speak.
Oh, thank you. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you see us or just audio?
Right now it's just audio.
Okay, that's fine. Do you have our presentation? Oh, I think we sent it to you yesterday.
Oh, I don't have the presentation.
Oh, okay. I mean, I can talk through it. So yeah, I think, well, first let me start off, commissioners and Chris and Ann, thank you so much for taking the time to hear our discussion and listen to, just our application here. I think to give you an overview of our intent here, my wife and I, Jane, our intent we moved in about a year ago here at Masonic. And the main reasons or intent of our application for the addition is one, we have only one small bathroom in the main living area for a family of 4. And so it's actually a fairly small bathroom, 5 by
like 6 by 8.
6 by 8, something like that. So often quite cramped, and would appreciate hoping to get another a little more bathroom space. Our kitchen layout is currently quite cramped and odd. It's a weird like Z shape, which is hard to navigate. No existing master suite. We have limited storage, and especially now limited work from home space available. You can see the design plans and drawings here on the attached. We haven't, as far as we know, received any negative feedback from any neighbor. We did hear a request this morning from a commissioner through Chris to change in terms of the windows that we change on the front facade. Any window that we do add or switch out on the front facade would be switched to a kind of a wood, I think, fiberglass clad window, as opposed to the vinyl that's currently existing on the front facade of the house. And then I think, as far as the general idea here was, it's a fairly modest addition in the back, 350 total square feet. We're actually removing the existing structure / shed in the back that is fairly run down. And so the net square footage increases, I think, about 50 square feet plus or minus. And we're trying to maintain the same architectural design of the rest of the house and do what we can to meet the broader City of Albany planning ordinances and building codes. So welcome any comments or questions, and happy to discuss further.
Thank you. Why don't we turn it then to commissioners, if any commissioners have questions for either staff or the homeowners on this project. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time seeing everyone with the presentation up. So Commissioner McLeod, did you have questions or?
No, I don't really have questions. I just have comments, mostly about the rear facade and the side facade as well. So
Okay, if there aren't questions then from staff, why don't, or from commissioners here, which it doesn't look like there are any, why don't we go ahead and open it up for public comment, and then we'll go ahead and turn it back to the commissioners for comments. So Chris, are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
One moment, I have to stop sharing my screen.
It's a little easier.
We have two speakers. We have Jeremiah up for speaking first. One moment. Okay, Jeremiah, you have 3 minutes beginning now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. So I guess I would really agree on saying yes to this for the homeowner or the property owner to extend possibly the parking thing. And so, I mean, right across the street, there's plenty of parking. There's bar tracks, right? So not having enough parking on this residential street is really an issue. You know, there's no houses on the other side of the block. So, I mean, literally this particular street might even fall under some sort of policy where there's no restrictions or off-street parking, to where, you know, you don't have to create off-street parking because there's so much street parking available. You know, let's say one of these properties, they don't even have to have a driveway because there's so much street parking. You know, that's the idea of the policy, right? So I would just say yes. I would pass this one and let the property owner build this addition. You know, it's new construction, I guess. And yeah, that sounds good to me. Thanks.
Thank you. Do we have one more speaker, Chris?
Yes, we have one of the other project applicants, Hector Cross. Hector, you have 3 minutes starting now.
Oh, Chris, no, I just had my hand raised because you were
Okay.
asking me earlier today about me presenting versus Jason and Jane. So I don't have anything to say, really.
Okay, that's fine.
Obviously, I was part of the project, so I support it. I think it makes sense. I think the architectural style is consistent with the existing house and with the neighborhood. As Jason said, it's a very small addition in the back. So actually, I'm not really sure why it was pulled from the consent calendar, but no, that's all I have to say.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and with that, are there any other members of the public who wish to speak? If so, now is your moment. And seeing no other hands raised, we'll go ahead and close public comment and then turn it back to the commissioners for consideration. Commissioner McLeod, did you want to lead things off here?
yeah, it might be helpful. I don't know if Christopher, you could pull up page 7 of the staff report. I think that shows the rear facade compared to the existing, or the proposed compared to the existing facade.
Sure, one moment. The staff report, correct?
Yeah, page 7. I mean, I think it kind of shows it in a nutshell what I'm thinking. And then at some point, I'd like to see the side view from the, I'm not sure which side. Let's see, it would be east. East?
North.
No, it's mixed up. The drawings are different, labeled differently on the
They are.
existing
There's a
plans
problem.
versus the proposed. So my concerns are the west and south elevations. I'm not concerned about the front. And I'm not concerned about the parking. There's really no material difference in the parking situation from before and after, and no way to add a second space anyway. So I think that parking issue is kind of moot. Can we also see the drawing below that? I mean, if we could see those together, that would be helpful for me, if you could reduce the size. And granted, this is the back of the property, but when I'm looking at this, I see the existing house has, various planes, various angles, 6 windows. There's some variety there in the facade. There's some interest with the windows. And then I look at the proposed facade and I see a rather monolithic block of stucco. And I just have to say that it's lacking in visual interest. It's lacking in design intent in how the windows are placed. The windows look pretty random. This is the back of your house. In theory, your house should be opened up to the backyard to bring in light and, enjoy your open space from the backyard. So I think it's really unfortunate that the whole upper floor has one really small window looking out at the backyard. And that comes from the way the plan is laid out with the long bar of a master closet and a bathroom there. So I just think it's unfortunate that there's not more visual interest on this facade, that it's not more opened up to the backyard for light and views from the house. And that, I'm also a little bit troubled by the side view, the south elevation. I don't know if you can pull that one up, Christopher. It would be page A3.2. The bathroom bar, if you will, the addition is very narrow. And I just think it looks a little odd. And when I looked at it, was there another view? It just sort of seems not very proportional, very well proportioned to the rest of the house. And granted, this is in the back, but at the same time, this is part of the design. And I am just a little disappointed with that. And then when I look at the floor plan, it doesn't make sense to me to put the bathroom in the back. There's a bathroom a new bath on the main floor, and it would make a lot more sense to stack the new bathroom on the second floor directly over the main floor bathroom. And that way you're able to open up the back of the house with more windows and the closet could be worked in. I think I would rather see the upper floor be kind of more compact instead of this long bar of an addition along the back, but somehow work it out so it's a little more compact. Stack the bathroom over the other bathroom, which will also save some money, and then open it up to the light and views of the back and make the back facade a much more interesting facade. So that's my basic point, and I'm happy to hear what other commissioners think about that.
Sorry, Commissioner Pilch.
Sure. There seems to be an echo. So I would agree with Commissioner McLeod. I don't know if I would, I haven't considered completely redoing the upper floor, but if it were me, I definitely wanted more open to the back. It seems like you could have a bigger window or several windows in the bathroom, and even a window in the closet, but at least for visual interest, but also for natural light in that closet, so you wouldn't always have to have a light in there if you didn't want to. Perhaps a window up high so it wouldn't cause a fading of clothes that were in that bathroom. Sorry, in the closet. And the north elevation, I wish there were more interest there as well. A window on the bottom floor there would be welcome. So I think I would echo Commissioner McLeod's concerns and at least want to have more visual interest in the rear facade. Thanks.
Commissioner Donaldson.
Yeah, hello. Okay, I think Ian has made good comments, but I'm reluctant to force a redesign on this. I saw some of those issues and I could sense them myself, but they're not on the front. They don't show to the street at all. And So I'm very much inclined to give the applicant the deference, benefit of the doubt when it's the back of the building. I looked at the sides, and what I was looking for really were the possible interference or conflicting views between the houses next door. Looking for the presence of vegetation. There's a lot of vegetation on the north side that would provide a big privacy screen. So those were the issues I was concerned about. I think Ian's comments are good comments, but I don't think I would vote to disapprove the project from a design review point of view when the impacts or the adverse design questions he's concerned about are on the back and really affect only their own private space. And on the one side, which is only 10 feet away from another house, or in this case, maybe 12 feet away, and really wouldn't provide any privacy concerns. So I can support the project the way it's designed, I think. So those are my comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Momin.
Thank you. I agree with Commissioner McLeod's comments. The existing house has a lot of nice features. It has changing planes on the back side. Some fenestration, the staircase that goes to the main level that has some kind of rhythm in relation to the roof. And this new changes has completely removed all that. So I think I would not vote against the project. I would not disapprove that, but I would recommend architects working with the staff and doing some changes that could improve this rear facade.
Okay, thanks. I'll just chime in on this. I very much agree with Commissioner Donaldson. This is a quick question actually for staff, but I believe this is not subject to the exceptional design standard. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So with that, I do feel like there is a distinction between projects that are subject to the exceptional design standards and those that are just before us for standard design review. And with that lens, I'm more focused on the appearance from the street and sort of preservation of the existing scale at the street and architectural quality at the street. And so I think the setbacks and the change in plane at the front is sufficient for meeting the standard of sort of the standard design review. I do agree that if we were meeting the standard of exceptional design, I might have similar thoughts to what Commissioner McLeod is saying. And I don't disagree with any of those comments. I think they're very valid, but trying to articulate whether the project is eligible to be approved effectively versus requiring a redesign. I feel like it falls on the side of being approvable with that standard. So I don't have much else to say other than that, but it looks like we may be a split commission on this item today. So is there anyone who would like to, at this point, either have any further conversation or make a motion and see where this goes? Commissioner Donaldson.
Okay, let's see, by way of further conversation, the hardest part of this project for me was actually the parking waiver. And I did think long and hard about that. And I have now decided that I will not challenge it. But I do want to say that neighbors of mine 2 doors away in a similar situation were required by a previous planning and zoning commission to actually sacrifice part of their laundry room, which is laid out like this one, and create a tandem parking spaces in their single car garage. Similarly, a legal parking space in the front yard could be created here, but it would require pushing back the garage door by 2.5 feet or so. And I just didn't think that would be fair to the developer, and too much of a hardship. So I believe that that I could make the findings for the parking waiver on this. And I do want you to know that I did look at it very carefully. And with that, then I am prepared at this point then to move approval of planning application 21019, design review and parking reduction for a 2-level addition at 508 Masonic Avenue.
Do we have a second on that motion? I suppose I'm willing to second that motion. Okay, Commissioner Moment, second on that motion. And maybe before we call the vote on that, Commissioner Pilch, I see you still have a hand raised. I wasn't sure if that's current or residual.
Yeah, no, that is current. So yeah, I think I'd like to comment on the fact that it's the rear facade. It is the upper part of the rear facade, and it will be visible from the neighbors on the other street. Is it Evelyn or getting my streets mixed up? Yes, Evelyn. And, yeah, and so it's just a big patch of stucco there in the upper reaches. I'm wondering if, since I did hear some concern from Commissioner Moment and Commissioner McLeod, if we could condition the approval on the addition of some design aspect to that upper portion of the rear facade, either a window or some treatment. I don't know what it would be. Add that to the approval of this project. Would commissioners be into that?
Commissioner Donaldson, is that a friendly amendment you'd like to accept?
It's a little bit vague. I'm not sure what we would require there. I'd like it to be more specific. I must admit I have a similar situation on my own house, and it's and it is a big space there. And I know I've thought of trying to put a sculpture in there or something like that to fill it. I don't know, faux window,
yeah, well,
with shading. I'm
looking,
not sure what it would be. Maybe Ian has some ideas. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say Commissioner McLeod or Commissioner Moment might have some ideas. I mean, I would put a window there. But I'm not the architect. So, do Commissioner Moment or McLeod, do you have ideas about a treatment we might put there?
Well, go ahead, Commissioner McLeod.
Commissioner Moment, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I would really like to see some plane change in the rear facade. Either the dining room could be pushed a little back in the line with the deck, so it creates some protection to the door that opens onto the deck, and that would create some variation in that facade. Or kitchen could be slightly pushed back with a niche, and then it should go all the way up to the roof. And then in the same plane, then a window could be added. Maybe the closet could be reorganized. That would allow some windows in that. Even the fixed pane window with a frosted glass could be a nice feature, and that would relieve some blankness in that wall, and the window could be aligned with the window on the first floor, the kitchen. At least those couple of features could relieve some plainness from the facade.
Commissioner McLeod?
Yeah, I agree with those comments by Commissioner Moming. Yeah, I think some variation in plane would help. I think more windows would help. I really can't support this big kind of blank, these big blank areas of stucco. And I think it's a real lost opportunity for the people living there not to have a big window facing out to the back from their bedroom. You know, I would shift the bedroom to the front. The bathroom could still be in the bar to the side, and the closet could go on the other side of the bedroom. And you could just open that up and it would be a much better living space. So that's my thought. I mean, I would support, or I would encourage the applicants to add windows at the back. And if there's some way to create some variation in the planes of that big stucco wall, to do that. there could be also a small trellis or awning over the doorway that would help. You know, the deck could be a little bit bigger too, to help create, you know, a little bit, you know, more, break up the space a little more. So those are my thoughts.
So if I could jump in, so it sounds like there's some, either if the commissioner who made the Commissioner Donaldson would be amenable to the addition of the change of plane in the rear and the addition of a window. If he'd been amenable to adding that to his motion, then I could vote for it. If not, I would offer a substitute motion with those two items.
Right. I'm not exactly sure I understand what Mohammed's suggestions were. Must say I am reluctant to add a window to the master bath, or it looks to me like it would probably be located right where the division is between the closet and the bath. I'm not excited about having a window in a closet, or in a bath, or in a wall that separates the two. So I do have an issue with that. That doesn't sound like to me it would work.
I would
Commissioner
change my
McLeod's suggestion is the best one, and that is to redesign the whole thing so that the bathrooms are stacked above each other and the bedroom is at the back looking out. I think that's the best suggestion, but I'm not willing to go that far and require a full major redesign of this, of the whole project.
So Commissioner Donaldson, would you like to keep your motion as proposed, and we can just play this out?
I would. I think I would. Yeah. I wish I
Okay.
understood exactly what Commissioner Moman suggestions were. I'm not in favor of a window up there with this current design.
So we do have a motion and a second on the floor then. So why don't we just go ahead and call that motion, and we'll see where that lands. So with that, Commissioner McLeod, on that vote, Commissioner McLeod.
I'm going to vote no.
Okay. Commissioner Pilch.
No.
Okay. Commissioner Moman.
no.
Okay. Commissioner Donaldson.
Yes.
And I vote yes on that as well. So that motion fails 3-2. Do we have a counter motion? Commissioner Pilch, do you want to make that motion?
I can try, but my terminology isn't always the best, but maybe the other commissioners can help me out. I'll move approval of the project with the stipulation that there be a change in plane to the rear facade, and that there be the addition of a window in the upper story of the rear facade. And if you don't think that's stated correct very well, Commissioner McLeod or Commissioner Moman, I'd welcome your wording changes there.
Do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second it. I think in the interest of moving it forward. Yeah.
Okay. And clarity, when you say an additional window on the rear facade, do you mean in that second bay of the house, effectively where there's a blank space under the higher gable?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. With that motion and the second, then we'll go ahead and call that motion. So Commissioner Donaldson.
I'm opposed to the window in the closet in the bathroom, so I vote no.
Okay. Commissioner Moman.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner McLeod.
I'm going to vote yes, but I would encourage the applicants to consider other ways of putting windows in the back as well, just as a design treatment.
Okay. Commissioner Pilch.
Yeah, I would echo that. I'm voting yes, but the applicants should reconsider their, if they want to even more reconsider their design, that'd be welcome. Yes.
Okay. And I'm I guess fine moving this along. So I'll vote yes on that motion too. So that passes 4-1. And to the project sponsor, please remember to keep your story polls up for the 14-day duration of the appeal period. With that, that'll take us to item 4-4, the other item on our consent calendar that was pulled off. This is item planning application 21-008, design review for a second story addition at 1501 Albany Terrace. And I believe Commissioner Piltry requested to pull this one off consent. Is that right?
Yes, and now I have to, oh, yes, I just had one small question actually, which was that, let me see. Is it one question or more? My my diagram is scrolling a little slowly here. But I know one of the questions was the laundry room, I believe, was where the new stairs were going to be located, and I was not able to see if the laundry facilities were being relocated somewhere else. So that was one question.
Is that a question you'd like to ask planning staff or to the project architect?
Either way, if planning staff knows, otherwise we can ask the applicant or the architect.
It looks like it's under the stair.
That's correct.
Oh,
yeah.
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 The stacked unit. That's what it looks like.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I wasn't able to see that. Maybe I looked too quickly. Okay, great. So it'll still be in the same room. And then I believe the addition is going to have board and batten siding instead of shingle. And my question, I guess this is probably more applicable to the applicant than the architect, is why the board and batten instead of continuing the shingle design?
Chris, is the architect on the line?
Yes, one moment.
Great.
Hello, my name is Ashka Vilokim, and I am with Eisenman Architecture. And the reason why we thought about having a board and batten rather than continuing with the shingle was to introduce a little bit more of interest, also use the hardy board material, which is more friendly with fire, if I may say that. And it just kind of introduces another texture. And we have a lot of photos of successful renditions of such application in other projects around the Bay Area, if that needs to be presented. Another aspect of the board and batten is that it is less expensive to install than there's less labor and material cost to cedar shingles. So these were the
okay.
Okay.
Thank you for that. That answers my question. I don't really have an opinion on it. It sounds like it could be a good design element. And that's all I had.
Thank you.
I don't know if thank you. I don't know if the other commissioners had any questions.
Sure. Are there any other questions? Commissioner Momin.
Yeah, I'm okay with the variation in the finish, and I think it looks nice in contrast with the texture that shingles have, wood shingle has, and as long as the color combination works, the board and batten would look good. I just only have one observation. The north elevation, the proposed north elevation, also has the board and batten on the first floor also, whereas the whole first floor has wood shingles on 3 sides, and so I think it might look a bit strange when you turn around the corner on the rear side. I understand that it is a rear side, but this house also has frontage on both sides. So when you walk along, what street is that?
The corner lot on Nielsen and Albany Terrace.
Right.
So you see it actually from 2 different streets.
Correct. So when you walk along the west side street, you will see a corner where on the ground floor you will see 2 types of finishes around the corner, and that might look a bit odd.
So first of all, there is a little bit more of a difficulty seeing the lower level from the street because of the solid wood fence that kind of hides majority of that level. Secondly, there has to be a lot of replacement of the existing openings because there are 3 windows that we're going to relocate, and the amount of patching of the cedar shingles was probably more labor intensive than just replacing the entirety of the wall. Plus, from the rear of the property, it appears more uniform when you're enjoying yourself in a garden.
I'm not sure how prominent that is from the Nielsen Street. I'm looking at your 3D view on sheet, last sheet, and you can see next to the garage, you see the whole facade. I haven't seen this building in Google Street View, but you will see some part. And I also, I totally understand your technical difficulties in replacing that, but I also think that it is a small portion of wall that would need this exterior finish. It should not be that costly, or should not be that difficult.
Well, I would be curious if this is a problem for the other commissioners, if they also see any issues with that.
Why don't we really quick, just so
Sure.
that we can open this up for public comment, why don't we focus if there are any questions for staff or the project architect, and if there aren't any, we can open it up for public comment and then turn it back for deliberations. Any other questions right now? Okay, seeing none, then now is the time. We'll go ahead and open this up for public comment. So members of the public, this is your opportunity to speak on this item. Please go ahead and raise your hand. Chris, are there any members of the public?
Yes, there are 2. One moment. First speaker up is Jeremiah. Jeremiah, you have 3 minutes beginning now.
Thank you. I was just wondering about additions. Is that the accessory dwelling unit, the ADU? I'm not sure if there's any applications or any like permits. I don't know what sort of fees this costs the homeowner or the property owner. Has to pay application fees to the city for certain. I think it was $1,234 or something like that. It was kind of a funny number. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's how the city did it for the application fee for the ADU. It was 1,234, something like that. I was just wondering if there's anything regarding fees, if there's some sort of discount rate, or I mean, I don't know how the fees work for doing additions or ADUs, but there's hardships right now and COVID. I don't know if the city's still charging fees for these. And also, last thing I was going to say was social economic justice. And then I was going to say something about safety, which was, fire department is the fire department. Okay with certain things regarding square footage. I mean, other than that, other than being earthquake safe, I don't see any reason to not let the homeowner, build this project. So the only last thing I could think of is birds and trees. Would they be affected? Bird nests. Has anybody done a study to see if birds live in the tree? And that's about it. Thank you.
Next speaker is Richard. Richard, you have 3 minutes starting now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, very good. Okay, this is Richard Weiss. And Chris, did you give them my email letter?
Yes, we received it.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, then I won't bother with that. And thank you for letting me talk to you people on the commission. We've walked by that house all these years. And to tell you the truth, between the garage and the facade, there's a fence, and you can't really see how the house turns around the corner. So I don't think, from my point of view, and especially living across the street, I don't think there's any problem whatsoever with the board and batten on the first floor. You really can't see it. So from my point of view, it's fine. And that's all I have to say, other than what I've said in the email, that we fully support the project. So thank you.
Thank you. And Chris, do we have one more speaker?
Yes, one more speaker. We have Stacy Eisenman. Stacy.
Hi, good evening. This is Stacy. And I just wanted to clarify that this is a technique that we've used in a number of projects where we create an element of surprise on the back of the house. And in this case, it's all paint grade, the shingle and the board and batten. And so the edges of all of these textures are catching shadow lines. So as you come around the house, you would see a little bit of a different textural element, and it adds, as I said, a moment of surprise. It's not, it's intentional, and we've had some success with this in the past. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. And it looks like there are no other members of the public. Is that right, Chris, who wish to speak?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With that, then we will go ahead and close public comment and turn it back to the commission for discussion. Commissioner Donaldson, you had your hand raised?
Sure, I would like to start. I think it's a really sweet little project and a really sweet little neighborhood, and I really like it. It's a very small lot. The whole area right in that immediate area along Albany Terrace is a number of lots like this. Some very small homes. They do not have big yards. They do not have large street swept-backs. This one certainly doesn't along the side yard along Nielsen. It just is a really intimate neighborhood with a very special feeling, I think, as you're moving from one house to the other. And I think this design, I'm sure these houses are very difficult to enlarge and to make them more accommodating to bigger families or to modern needs. And I think that this is a really nice design, that it does that very well without any adverse impacts on adjoining neighbors that I can see, and we haven't had any comments to that effect. So I really like the project, and I'm prepared to move it. So.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Commissioner McLeod.
Yeah, I would agree with Commissioner Donaldson. I think it's a very attractive project. I support it 100%. I think it's really thoughtfully designed. I think it's well designed. The windows are well placed. There's a nice balance of windows. The addition, it makes sense, you know, looking at it with the lower floor. It just, it seems like a very well thought out design and project. The floor plan's very nicely done. All the changes make a lot of sense, both on the ground floor and, you know, the new suite upstairs. I'm 100% happy with the cement board siding. It's got a lot of good attributes. It's insect rot resistant, fire resistant, completely durable. And I think it'll be a nice way to treat the upper floor. And I'm okay with the back too. I mean, generally, I don't like materials that change at a corner like that, but in this case, It is kind of a private little courtyard in the back. The fence is screening it very, very well. There's even kind of a change of elevation. So from the courtyard, it will have its own unity, continuity, and it makes sense there. So the fence is completely overgrown with vegetation, and it looks very nice when I look at it on the street view. You know, so I'm prepared to support this 100%. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Commissioner. Would anyone else like to speak? If not, okay, Commissioner Peltz.
Oh, just very briefly, I'll agree that the project, I think, is a nice design, and hearing the architects speak about their decision, I'm satisfied and able to support it at this time.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and just wrap with a few. Oh, Commissioner Moment, go ahead. You can jump in first.
I agree with my fellow commissioners' remarks on the overall design. It's really nicely done, very tastefully done. It's the massing of the house has been nicely organized. The extension on the back side, along with the sloping streets on either side, really makes nice composition. And I understand and accept Richard Weiss' argument about that corner not being really visible from outside, and I also understand architects' design idea about having some surprise, and because both of the surfaces will be painted gray, that I think should not look as strange as I had earlier imagined. So I would support the project.
I'll just jump in to wrap things up here then on my end. I think this is a great project. I also have a lot of faith in this architecture firm. I know we've seen a lot of work from her firm over the course of at least the last few years I've been on the commission, and I've watched a lot of those projects be built, and I feel like the design details are executed incredibly well on all of the projects that I've observed. So I have also faith that that detailing of how the corner is turned and the different material is applied will be done in a high quality manner. I also really like the fact when these really, sort of for lack of a better word, charming old buildings that we have a lot of in Albany are really preserved, and that the vertical addition is really set back and secondary and really gives a second life and a second generation to the existing architectural style of the primary building. And so I appreciate the fact that we really are giving a second life to some of our older housing stock. So I think this is a great way of making it contemporary and meeting contemporary needs, but still honoring the older architecture. So I too am ready to support this project as proposed. And with that, would anyone like to make a motion?
Yes.
Commissioner Donaldson.
With that, I'd be pleased to make a motion to approve planning application 21008 design review for a second story addition at 1501 Albany Terrace.
Great. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Great, second by Commissioner McLeod. Then on that motion, Commissioner Moman.
Yes.
Commissioner McLeod.
Yes.
Commissioner Pilch.
Yes.
Commissioner Donaldson.
Yes, yes.
And I vote yes as well. So that motion is approved unanimously. And again, a reminder to keep up the story polls for the 14-day appeal period. With that, we're going to jump a little out of order on our agenda, as it's been brought to our attention that item 7-2 on our regular calendar, planning application 21-004, the conditional use and design review for 904 Masonic, is being requested by the applicant to be continued date certain to April 28th. If I have that correct, to April 28th. And so just so for the members of the public and the applicant, so they don't need to sit around to the end of the agenda, why don't we go ahead and hear that item proposed for continuance now, so we can move that one out of the way. So do any commissioners have any issue with us moving that item for continuance date certain to April 28th? Seeing no objections from the commissioners, why don't we go ahead and open that up for public comment. If any members of the public would like to speak on the continuance for item 7-2, so that means we will not be hearing it tonight for 904 Masonic, but instead we will hear that item on April 28th. Now is your time to speak. And seeing no hands raised, we will go ahead and close public comment. And with that, would somebody like to make a motion to continue that item date certain?
Sure.
Commissioner Donaldson?
I'll
Great.
move continuance of 908 Masonic to
904.
904, yeah. Masonic to the 28th of April.
Great,
Do I need
thank
the
you. Do we have,
application number? I guess not.
I think we've got that. Great, seconded by Commissioner Pilch.
Yes.
Okay, great. Then on that motion, Commissioner McLeod,
Vote yes.
Commissioner Moman,
Yes.
Commissioner Pilch,
Yes.
Commissioner Donaldson,
Yes. Mhm.
and I vote yes as well. So we will be hearing that item on April 28th instead of this evening. And with that, we will move back to item 5 on our agenda, which is announcements and communication, of which there are none agendized. So with that, we will close that item, move on to item 6 on the agenda, public comment. This is general public comment. This is the opportunity for members of the public who wish to address the commission on an item that is not otherwise on tonight's agenda to address us. And each speaker may have up to 3 minutes to do so. With that, please go ahead and raise your hand if you'd like to speak under general public comment. Chris, do we have any members of the public?
Yes, we have 2 speakers. First one up is Jeremiah. Jeremiah, you have 3 minutes beginning now.
Hi, good evening. Thank you very much for public comment. Regarding the purview of this committee, all private property issues, all private property is with this meeting. And so public property, streets, but the middle of it's a sidewalk. And so I know Albany still has a 50% homeowner, 50% city costs and money to redo sidewalks. Now I have a question. So let's say it's a city tree and on the sidewalk is a city tree or something, and the roots from the city tree are breaking the sidewalk. Is the homeowner responsible for their 50%, even though it's a city's trees fault kind of thing in a way? I don't know. I don't know if city trees grow down so far to affect lateral lines or anything on property, homeowner's property. So I was just wondering if it's possible for somehow the homeowners notified of this responsibility when buying a house. Some sort of policy implemented to where, it's transparency, full disclosure kind of thing. Like, okay, you buy this $1 million home. Well, if someone trips and falls on the sidewalk, well, now you have to have homeowners insurance to cover sidewalk. So what happens if someone trips and falls on a crack on the sidewalk? Because that happened to my grandma a few times. So now who's liable for that? So now you're just making the homeowner have sidewalk insurance. So my suggestion is future agenda item to where the city can create some sort of program policy to where the city is responsible for 100% of the sidewalk. Who would think the homeowner would have to pay half of the sidewalk? I don't know if that's all over the state of California or if that's just Albany, but I go for the city to pay 100%.
Okay, we have one more speaker, Ed Fields. You have 3 minutes starting now.
Good evening. I want to talk about parking reductions, such as the one that was requested at the previous application for design review that you heard on Masonic. This has bothered me for a while. We still require 2 parking spaces per single family home in low-density R1 neighborhoods. But we only require one parking space, and we're approving projects with 0 spaces in high-density neighborhoods. I find this to be kind of ridiculous and hypocritical and costly to the applicant, who has to pay for a parking reduction. And so I think that this commission should take it upon themselves to initiate a code amendment to reduce the parking requirements in R1 neighborhoods. It just doesn't make any sense. Thank you.
There are no
Chris,
other,
no other speakers?
yeah, no other
Okay,
speakers. Mhm.
great. With that, then we'll go ahead and close public comment and turn it on to item 7 on our agenda, which is discussion and possible action items. And before we get started here on item 7-1, which is planning application 21-009, design review, parking reduction and conditional use for an addition at 717 Evelyn Avenue. I do need to be recused on this item as I have real interest in property within close proximity to this one. So with that, I will go and, Commissioner McLeod, do you as well?
I also have to recuse myself. I live too close. Yeah, blocks or so.
So with that, then I will turn it over to Vice Chair Pilch then, if you can take it from here, and Commissioner McLeod and I will turn off our videos.
Okay, thank you. Certainly, it looks like we have a presentation from staff on this then.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Once again, this is planning application 21-009, design review, parking exception, and a conditional use permit for a single-story rear addition at 717 Evelyn Avenue. Some background on the property. The subject property is a 5,000 square foot lot with a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom, 1,100 square foot home built in 1922. City records show the following minor work done to the property in the past. Notably, an additional accessory building was added in 1992 and a foundation repair in 2007. Here's a street view of the property as it sits today. Project request. The applicant is seeking design review approval for a single-story addition to accommodate a new master suite. They're also seeking a parking exception to allow one off-street parking space in the front yard setback area. And lastly, a conditional use permit to extend the existing non-conforming south wall. Design review. The existing home is a craftsman style architecture. The exterior materials of the addition are proposed to be clad in horizontal cement board, triple lap siding. A gable roof with 312 slope and front fascia is proposed on the addition to match the existing home. With respect to windows, clad wood windows in casement, picture, and awning operations and doors with surrounding wood trim are proposed throughout the majority of the home. There are 4 new skylights proposed for the home as well. Deck relocation. The existing deck is proposed to be removed and expanded, and the deck will be located in the northeast corner of the home. In addition, the hot tub will be relocated with the associated deck expansion. And lastly, solar panels are proposed on the south side of the home. Here's an existing elevation of the home at the rear. And here's the proposed rear elevation. Parking exception. There's one off-street parking space located in the existing attached garage at the front of the home. Pursuant to section 2028-040A8 of the Albany Municipal Code, residential additions greater than 240 square feet require an additional off-street parking space. The existing driveway measures 26 feet in length and can accommodate a legal size off-street parking space in the driveway / setback area. Exception. Commission approval for a parking exception would allow parking in the front yard setback area. With this in mind, if the commission approves the parking exception, this would result in 2 off-street parking spaces in total for the property. And here's a site survey of the property. You'll see right here, the 26 feet long driveway is indicated right here. Conditional use permit. The existing south wall is located 4.4 feet from the property line where 5 feet is required, or 10% of the lot width. Pursuant to Table 2A 2024-020, a conditional use permit is required to extend the existing non-conforming south wall horizontally to accommodate the proposed addition to the home. And with that, the applicant is requesting approval from the commission for the conditional use permit to extend the south wall. And once again, the site survey, you'll see that the existing setbacks for the south wall are at 4.4 feet. Staff has not received any correspondences in regard to the project scope. The project is categorically exempt per section 15303 of SEQA. And recommendation, staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission approve the proposed project subject to the findings and conditions of approval. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions of the project. Thank you.
Commissioner Momin or Commissioner Donaldson, do you have any questions?
I do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Actually, I don't have a question, really, I have a comment. And Chris, on the first paragraph of the staff report, the reference to waiving one off-street parking, and this would be a parking exception, not a waiver. So there will still be 2 parking spaces here, and I know that's the case. I just think that was just an error in the staff report. It's really a parking exception, not a waiver.
That's correct, yes.
And I'm sure you agree with that. Yeah. Okay. And that's all the only comments I have, questions I have.
Okay, and no questions from you, Commissioner Momin, at this time?
No.
Okay, all right, and thank you. And do we have, is the applicant or architect presenting tonight, or should we just move to public comment?
We could move to public comment. I see the architect is in the attendees list if there are questions of the architect.
Okay, very good. We'll just go ahead and move to public comment then first. So go ahead, staff, please.
Okay, sure. One moment. So we have first speaker up is Jeremiah. Jeremiah, you have 3 minutes starting now.
Good evening, thank you. Yeah, I actually really like this. You know, again, I just want to say about the fees. I know it's kind of redundant, but it really makes a difference. You know, every trip to Home Depot, boy, you know, so anytime a homeowner could save some money off an application fee for something, I mean, for a parking space, I don't know. I just support that. I just support, you know, if the homeowner does everything up to code and everything is great and paying for everything, you know, the homeowner is already paying city taxes. I mean, he's already paying taxes and gonna pay application fees again. But the thing, it looks great. I mean, everything looks great. You know, I have one last thing to say about this specific item is that when we're adding bedrooms or adding units, is there anything for the fire department to get updated right away to where, let's say there was a fire, is there something on a window, like a sticker that says, okay, this is a 5-bedroom house, so the fire department knows, okay, now there's a bedroom way upstairs, around the corner, you know, all the way to grandma's room, right? So that way the fire department can respond a little easier. That way maybe they could be notified with additions to units. I mean, if the fire department, you don't know what to expect when you get to a house. How many rooms are in there? How many people live in there? So maybe when these additions are created, maybe there's some policy implemented to where if you're adding bedrooms to homes or ADUs or other people are going to be living there, more people, somehow the fire department's notified for safety. That way they know how many people are living there or how many rooms there are. Thank you.
And it looks like that was the last public comment.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. So we'll bring it back to the commission for comments. Who would like to start?
Go ahead. Mark.
Okay, Commissioner, I think you were a split second early with your hand, so go ahead.
I really like this project. It is a modest but very thoughtful extension. It doesn't change the mass and bulk of the house as it is visible from the street, but changes the quality of space, interior space significantly. The revised plan is also very efficient and compact. The relocation of the rear deck to the northeast corner and accessing that through the dining room is also the right way of arranging these spaces. I also liked wood siding on the front entry and the rear wall, and that kind of extends horizontally on the decks, which kind of gives a nice feeling, a rich look. And so I'm okay with the extension of the non-conforming wall, and also with the additional required parking to be located on in the existing driveway. I would support this project.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Donaldson?
I agree. I would have started off with the same words. This is a modest addition that works very well and will really add a nice bedroom to the house and improve its livability and usability. And I think it's a very good project, and I support it. Could I say one other thing? Nick,
Yes.
could I say one other thing? In response to Jeremiah, the public should know that all of the plans and all the projects we review go through fire department review. It's a routine, standard procedure, has been forever. Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that. Appreciate it. Yes, I agree with my fellow commissioners. I don't have anything to add. It's a nice project, modest addition, and done well. I have nothing to add, no concerns. So I guess that's it. There's just the three of us. So would one of you two like to move this item?
I'll be happy to move approval of planning application 21009, design review and parking exception with a conditional use permit for the extension of the wall for a single-story addition at 717 Evelyn Avenue.
And I would second that.
Okay, great. We have a motion and a second. So I think, how about we just raise our hands if we are yes on this project? Okay, we have 3 yeses on this project. I think the project is approved. And please keep your story polls up for 2 weeks. And thank you. And I'll hand it back to the chair.
Great, thank you. With that, we're on to item 8, new business on the agenda, of which there is none. Item 9. Sorry, was there a comment, Chris? Oh, no. Okay, great. Item 9 on our agenda next meeting is April 28th, same time, same place. And with that, we are adjourned this evening.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.